Alright, welcome everybody, and this is a long overdue action figure review. So, what we've got here are two Ninja Turtle action figures from the most recent set. And this is for Season 5 of the 2012 animated series. Here we have Samurai Michelangelo and Samurai Usagi. I just picked these guys up from Walmart, and apparently I'm pretty lucky. I looked them up online afterward. Usagi here really caught my eye just because I know a little bit about his backstory, and it's pretty cool how he got integrated into the Turtles universe. So I was like, oh, that's super neat. And then they had all four of the Samurai Turtles, but since they pretty much look the same, and they have the same types of accessories, they just have different weapons, I figured I'd just grab one as an example of what this new set of figures has to offer, because they all have the same points of articulation and everything, the same basic set of accessories. So he should be a good example. So here first I wanted to talk about Usagi, because I think it's super interesting how he came into this series. He was actually originally a comic book character created by Dark Horse Comics in 1983, and he had his own running comic series for a while, and then eventually he ended up being put into, as like an alternate dimensional character, put into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book series, and that was quite a while ago, but then he has most recently appeared in the 5th season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they've all been transported to some type of dimension where there are a bunch of animal warriors and all that kind of stuff. So what we have here is a figure which, even in the case here, you could see he has an impressive amount of articulation compared to the other characters that are usually produced by this series. Usually the only ones that get points of articulation in the elbows and knees and all that are the primary turtle figures. And you've got, a bunch of villains or side characters who don't really get that type of treatment. You've got points of articulation on the arms, and where it meets the torso, and then on the head, and then on the legs where they meet the pelvis area. That's usually the only point you really have articulation on these figures. So I think it's super cool. He also has a few accessories that even have holsters here. He's got these two katanas, which then go into these holsters here. And he has a helmet, which is removable. And that is the same as, it looks like, the helmet that the rest of the turtles have, just a little bit different shape so that it could fit the turtle's head, of course. And then the mask is not connected to the helmet. It looks like in this figure, it is connected to the helmet. So before we open these figures up, let's talk about the packaging. For anybody who's seen any of these turtle figures, it is the same packaging as the rest. You have the name here on an info card on the bottom, which is inside of the bubble, which is attached to a cardboard stock backing. And the backing has the other figures that are in the series, which are the 4 turtles and an unarmored Usagi here. And it has a brief description of the season that these guys are involved in. So it says, the Ninja Turtles find themselves in another dimension inhabited by animal warriors. Disguised as samurai, the Turtles ally themselves with a Ronin rabbit named Usagi Yojimbo. Yeah. Together, they must save a young prince from a band of Neko ninjas led by Jai. Or Jay, I don't know, an evil sorcerer. So you can see here the other figures in the set. You have, the turtles each with their different colored armor based on their usual colors, and then they have different weapons here. Leo has like some scimitar looking thing. You've got Donatello with like a bludgeon type staff instead of his normal staff, and then these sais, which are unique on their own, I guess. And then of course Michelangelo, who we have right here, who has looks like scythes but with maces on the end, or like flails on the end to kind of mimic nunchucks, I guess. I don't know. But just like you normally see on these figures, the pictures on the back show a lot more detail, especially on the accessories, than the figures actually have. You can see in this picture here, Michelangelo's accessories are actually painted. It's got the sharpened edges of the scythes, and it's got the silver mace end there. You can see here it's just a basic gray. So looking at the back of the figures, don't be deceived into thinking that these guys have a whole lot of detail. It's pretty basic for this series. Most accessories are just going to be their stock color unpainted. So Now we're going to open these guys up and see what they have to offer as far as quality of paint job and their points of articulation, what kind of positions we can get them into. So just a moment, let me get these guys open. Alright, so these are these two figures now taken out of their packaging. I've left them in their actual holster areas so that I can show you how they're secured in those areas. So here we have Mr. What's his name? I don't remember. Usagi, I believe. Usagi. Hold on. Yep, it is Usagi. Okay, great. So yeah, he is the actual figure is held into this blister piece by a plastic tie here. So you just have to untie that single tie, it looks like, and pull it through the front in order to get this figure out of the case. In just a moment, I'll place him here, and then also, just by actually touching him, even just for that brief moment, you could tell that his joints and everything feel very nice. It's like, and the figure himself, this is very unusual actually for this series. I'm very surprised by this. His the material of his cloak and everything are a nice texture, and it's like a malleable rubber. It's not stiff or anything. That's not going to get in the way of your figure's movement, and that is pretty cool. The material that they used feels different than the other plastic that they've used before. Maybe it's just because of how thick this leg portion is. But it feels a little bit like the Rawzar figure, the plastic that they used, but since this is actually thicker, it seems to stand a lot better, just because, you know, that figure, if you watch the other review with Rawzar in it, his legs will just bend under his own weight and he'll just fall right over because of the softness of that plastic. It feels like it could be the same plastic, just since it's thicker, it obviously holds it a lot better. So yeah, these swords are able to just come right out. They're not secured in there anyway. You can just pull them out and you pull them up over the top. They actually, the sword goes through a hole in the blister piece here. You pull it out the top, and then this is unsecured, the helmet, so you can just pop it right out the front there. Let's put these guys here, and then we'll pull out Michelangelo. Michelangelo also has a tie, and you can see that the helmet and the face mask that attach to the helmet are not secured either, so they just fell right out of there as soon as I pushed it forward. Alright, I'm able to pull him right out of there. And then his pieces here are individually tied with the same plastic ties. Alright, these things took me a lot longer to get out of that package than I would have thought. But you can understand why. They were individually tied into the blister piece with the plastic pieces. And the reason for that is they're a very flat accessory. If they weren't secured in some way, they would probably just slide right down into the packaging and rattle around in that blister. But the scythe part and then the knob at the end here with the mace prevent you from being able to just slide it through a hole in the plastic like you could do with the swords over here. So they had to individually tie them in there to make sure that they weren't just rattling around in the packaging. So first we'll go over Mr. Usagi here. And I've already mentioned that the feel of the figure is very nice. His articulation is stiff, but not so stiff that you can't move it. He will hold his position very well, it seems like. He has a pivoting head here. It's on a ball joint, so you're able to just turn it all around, look up, down. The shape of his head and his neck actually allows for a lot of movement. He could look down like that, which is cool. Again, it feels very nice. There's no like point where it feels like he should be able to get to but can't. So I think that's a really good point of articulation there. And then here he has a double jointed arm where it meets the torso, so you can move it up, down, and also rotate it. And the same is true of his elbows, so you can actually rotate the arm here, and then you can move it up and down like that as well. What is also very unique, especially since he's not a main turtle, is his wrists also move. You see that a lot of the figures in this series do not have that. So his wrists are moving here, and that is that's very nice. It's unusual. I like that a lot. Of course, the other arm is the same. And then here, if you lift up his skirt here, you see that he again has double joints where his leg meets the pelvis here. And you're able to both rotate and move up and down on the leg here. And he also has the same here at the knee. His knee movement is restricted because of the thickness of his pants here. So you're able to rotate freely, but whenever you try to move it back or forward, you're going to end up getting stuck because of how thick these two pieces that meet are. So you see that this is about the only movement you're going to be able to get from his leg. Unless you really push it, which I wouldn't recommend because of how soft this plastic is. The plug on that rotation joint here could just pull right out of that leg if you put too much stress on it. But it seems pretty solid right now. Yeah. And then let me see if he has some ankle movement. Doesn't look like he has an ankle joint. So this piece here is all one piece. His foot is not free of the calf here, and there's no joint. You can't rotate his feet. And there is no rotation at the hips. It looks like we've got just one torso piece that connects the torso and the pelvis. So there is no rotation of the hips. But this guy has so much articulation here, it would be very easy to get him into a position that you want him to be in. So even somebody who's interested in his comic book, not necessarily a Ninja Turtle fan, somebody who's interested in his Dark Horse comic book, this is a very nice quality figure for somebody to pick up. And I don't know if I had finished mentioning it before, but he is running like, I picked him up for the normal price, $8.50 from Walmart, and that's the normal price for my area here in Florida. But online, the lowest I could find a packaged figure was about $25, and even an unpackaged figure, just like this one now, was running $20-ish. And I saw some running up to $30 or $40, so I'm not sure if he's just rare in other areas. I got lucky finding him. There were actually two at the Walmart that I went to, just down the street. I just picked up the one that looked like he was the best paint job of the two, because the other one's face looked a little janky. But yeah, so it looks nice. So now we'll go over the accessories and then the paint job. So as you could see as I was talking there, these fit very nicely in here into his little scabbards here, and they don't freely fall out. You can see that it kind of, actually just a moment, I think I might have them in the wrong ones. You can see that the sword is poking out the bottom here. So let me see if they're different sizes. Maybe one's built for one and the other for the other. Yeah, that one seems to fit, and then this guy going in this way. Yeah, so it looks like one sword is shorter than the other, and they're designed to hold their respective swords here, because it looks like this one's just long enough to get to the tip but doesn't poke out. So whenever you pull them out here, again, yeah, that slides in real smooth. There's absolutely no resistance, and then you can just pull that right back out. That is very nice size for that sword there. And then his hands are both cupped so that you can just fit the hilt of the sword right into the hand. The left hand was able to receive the sword very easily. You can see that it's holding it very well. I just had some resistance putting it into the right hand, but again, the material is it's like that soft plastic. So after putting the accessory in the hand and then taking it out and putting it back in again a few times, it'll probably receive it pretty well. And it holds it very well too. That's a very sturdy hold. So you're not going to have this thing slipping out or dropping the sword if you're sitting it on a shelf, or even if you're playing with it. This guy's going to hold on to these swords real well. And then his mask here. Let's see if we can get this on effectively. I hate helmets in most cases because they always end up looking stupid, especially when they have eye holes. I would kind of prefer it just have no eye holes and just do like a white eyes or something. That way you don't actually have to line up the eyes. It is a very malleable helmet. Let's start with that. So you can just squeeze it like this. And it looks like these pieces are separated. You can see that opening there. They're actually attached on the inside. But yeah, it's very malleable. So once you put the helmet on, what I was just noticing is you try to turn the head and you have to actually like squeeze the helmet down to the head to get it to work. And you can see the helmet does fit pretty nicely. Figure looks pretty cool. I think he looks better without the helmet, but for somebody who wants that look, it doesn't detract from the figure. I think the helmet actually does a very good job of fitting his head. If you play around with it a little bit, you can see his eyes through the openings, and it looks decent. It lines up pretty well. You're not going to have trouble with like one eye showing and the other eye being like halfway shown. I think it looks pretty good. So let's get this thing off here. This is not painted at all. Neither are the swords. So let's look at the paint job of the figure. A lot of pieces on this figure are not painted. And we can start by just looking at the different pieces that kind of make up the color. His hands are just white plastic. His arms are primarily just this gray plastic. And then his shoulder pads are painted gold. And you can see that that plastic is painted this gold color, similar to the color of his vest. And it is lined up real well, I think, with the edges of where it should be painted. You've got areas that look like they should be painted that aren't, like these straps that strap on that that shoulder pad. Like, it'd be nice if they were like a leather or like a black to show that they were something different. Same with this part here. This part is literally the same as this. It's got the same design and everything. So this, in a fully painted figure, should also be the same color. And then again, it's got the straps that aren't painted. But this is, you know, it's a cheap line of action figures. I'm already impressed with the articulation that they've put on this guy and the quality of the accessories. I really don't mind that this much, but if it was a higher quality figure, for sure, that needs to be painted. Like, you put the design into the figure and then you didn't follow it through by not painting it. But I guess I have a lower expectation as far as like quality, because these guys really are a lower end price point, and they can get away with things because of that. So again, same thing with the other arm. It doesn't look like there's any overspill of paint on the shoulder pad onto the arm. It looks real crisp there. I think that's they did a nice job. And again, not painted. The torso here is a separate piece of plastic. It's the soft plastic here, so it's just gray. They did paint the belt on it, and again, it doesn't look like there's any overflow or spotting. So there's no point on this belt where you're like, oh, I see, you know, the normal brown color of the rest of the vest underneath. It looks like a solid paint job of that belt. And then these pieces are separate and attached, no paint on them. There's parts of the rope that look like they could be painted. And if you're a painter, this character is somebody that you might be able to work up a little bit. I'm not sure how you would prime him without ruining the rest of the paint job, but I'm sure action figure painters have their methods of doing stuff like that. And let's move down to the legs here, and then we'll move up to the face. So the plastic of the legs is this basic blue. Looks like the two things that are painted are this leather piece, which on mine does have some overspill here. So if I get it real close, so you can see some overspill there where it's getting onto the leg from the leather band on the knee. And that's true on the other one as well. And it's even got like a spike right there, if you see it right there. But the piece itself is well painted. You don't see any blue through it. It's just that spillage onto the leg. And then you move down here, and these pieces have the different color brown for like a shin guard. You've got some like wiggle there. It looks like they it's not a clean line, but it doesn't look like it necessarily overflows onto the leg much. This side's got a more clean line here, if you can see it. And if you go to the other leg, same thing. This side, it's not really a clean line. It looks, I was much more impressed with the arms and torso. His legs are kind of, there's a lot of overflow. There's not really clean lines. You can tell that the legs were kind of a messy paint job. And then you come down to the sandals. You again see that there is some overflow onto the foot. So you've got a black foot that is just painted black, it seems. And then you have the tan sandal. So there's a little bit of overflow from the rope to the sandal here. That's not really a big deal. Who really looks at the figure's feet? But if you're looking for good quality, it looks like, honestly, a little better than a normal turtle figure, I think. I think that they put more effort into this figure than you'll see in most of the other figures of the line. Really, it seems like they've only given good treatment to the Ninja Turtle figures, like the actual turtles. But this guy, it seems like they've actually given him the turtle treatment. Done a good job of making him a high-quality figure. Maybe paying homage to the old comic that starred him. So, now coming to the face. You see that his eyes here are really well painted. They've got black outlines on the outside to make sure that his white eyes don't just blend into the rest of his white skin. And it gives him kind of that, like, I don't know, BA samurai look, I suppose. And then he's got the pink pupils that are very well rounded. It doesn't look like there's any, like, leaking of that pupil that makes it look wonky. The eyes are centered. He doesn't look like he's cross-eyed or got a lazy eye or anything like that. He's got this scar up here, which is slightly painted pink, and it was the other figure that I was talking about that I saw didn't have a great paint job. Part of that was either missing or leaked out, but you could just tell that it looked deformed. I only glanced at it for a second, and then I grabbed this one because it wasn't the same quality, you could tell. The rest of the paint job on here is just these black spots. His nose, which you can see a little bit of like air brushed out basically above his nose. You can see that it kind of like escaped onto the skin. And then you've got his mouth, which looks good, just, straight, clean line. You've got the marks on the cheeks. This one's like 3 independent dots. This one looks like it kind of blurred together. It doesn't detract from the figure, in my opinion. It's just noticeably different. You can see that these are more separated and clean from one another. These look kind of just like a clustered blob. He's got this ponytail of rabbit ears that look tied together. Probably pretty painful, in my opinion. I don't really know why he'd want to do that to himself, but no paint job there at all. And it looks like it's just a slightly malleable plastic that was attached to the head, so it's not actually a piece of the head. They wanted to make sure that it was it moved kind of like the back of the headband that the turtles wear. Alright, so that is the review of Usagi. Again, I would say that his paint job is not a super high quality paint job as far as like general action figures go, but as far as the Ninja Turtle series, I would say that he is high quality because it looks like they put a lot of effort into making sure that especially his upper body and everything doesn't have a lot of overflow. His face is really well painted, and the only part that's noticeably bad as far as the paint job is the legs. His points of articulation are awesome. Unless it's like a Marvel Legends figure, I'm not expecting a lot of points of articulation because it doesn't really seem like the toy market is prioritizing that element of toys anymore. So, let's talk about this Michelangelo, Samurai Michelangelo. I actually picked him out of the 4, although Donatello is my favorite turtle. He, I thought, had the coolest look in this outfit. I think the orange really complements him. I think that his face looks nice. Raphael, I think, looked the best as far as colors because he had the red going with the samurai. It looked a little more traditional. But his face was that cliche Raphael face where he's just like, bah! Like angry at the world. So, let's take a look at this guy. It looks like they may have, for the base of the figure, just kind of like reprinted an old series and then added some samurai things onto it. But you can tell that there are definitely some distinguished qualities here. You've got the legs here, which the upper leg has his basic pad, and then the lower leg has a shin guard, like a samurai shin guard, similar to the one that we see on Usagi. And then he also has the arm protection here, like Usagi has as well. And you can see it here and here. And they're different colors. I don't know if, again, that's because they didn't want to paint, but it looks like this is a separate piece that is just an orange plastic that they attach to the arm. This part's actually painted silver on the lower arm here. And then he's got this chest plate, and then he's got the back shell here, which is definitely different than the standard shell. Again, he has the malleable plastic as part of his torso accessory here, and that won't restrict movement of the legs or anything. So, looks pretty cool. His points of articulation are pretty standard for the turtle figures. I think that he might even be a little bit limited in movement compared to the others because of all that he's got going on as far as like armor and all that. So he's got a pivot on the head here. It's a ball joint, so he's able to just look up and about. And then he's got 2 joints on the arm, up, down, and rotate, and he also has that on the elbow, so up, down, rotate. He is limited on his elbow movement. This is about as far down as you're going to go. Where Usagi, he has thinner joints on the arm. He can go to a 90-degree angle, like that. So here you're going to see like maybe a 45-degree angle, and the reason for that is we've got thick jointed, basically we have a thick arm here, and then we also have a thick piece here, so they just meet quicker than over here because he's got thinner arms. And then we go to his wrist, which also rotates, fortunately. So I actually had to kind of, since he's brand new, kind of tug that into place. It looks weird though because he's got like a thick glove piece here that isn't painted. It's green, so it looks like flesh. If you look at it, you could tell that it's supposed to be part of this silver glove, but since it's not painted, it looks like he's got this weird like knobby bump thing at the top of his wrist, which is really strange. His legs, he's got a pivot joint, so he's got a hinge and a rotation. So again, he can move forward, back, and then he can also move from side to side. The side piece here actually does limit his movement a little bit. I had said before that it didn't, but he should be able to get farther than this, but because of this piece, it's not really budging any farther, and it even pulls it down a little once you let go. The front, though, because it has this opening between the flaps, and the front one seems to be a little bit more giving, he can just go right up there and it's fine. Trying to go back, he hits his shell, and that's pretty standard for these action figures, so he can go back about this far. You've got the same type of joint on his legs, so on his knee, I mean. So he's got the pivot joint, and then he can rotate as well. Moving back is going to be limited because of his knee pad here. It's going to be limited anytime you try to go anywhere but straight back. But he can rotate freely, and then he can move back to about a 45-degree to 90-degree angle if you're going straight back, because the knee pad kind of gives way at that point. The other leg is the same, of course. Alright, and then we'll talk about accessories and paint jobs. So, these are the accessories that he's got. He is able to fit them into his hand with some effort. Once he holds it, that's a pretty solid grip. But I like figures that have solid accessories, because a lot of the time you have something like this, obviously it's not going to be a chain. Sometimes they put a rope and it makes it a little bit more natural. But you have the character standing like this, and you're like, what the heck? Like, did he starch that thing before battle or something? Like, why is it standing up in the air like that? So there are a few poses that you could manage to look natural with something that is just dangling like that. So it fits in that hand. The other hand, again, is a little bit more closed. For some reason, they like to have the right hand more closed than the left. So let me see if I can fit this in here. His hands are malleable enough to where you could, like, straight up pull the fingers out of the way to get it to work. So get that in there. And again, it's pretty solid. So issue that I'm having here is I want to move his arms out to the sides like this. And I can't. The reason that I can't is because this shoulder pad meets the shell. And actually, that one works. But this one, I guess maybe if I shove it under. Okay. Yeah, the problem I was having was it hits right there. And then the farther I try to pull back, it actually tries to pull this orange pad off. So if you tuck it under, that actually works a little better. Those accessories work pretty well. This is about the most natural thing I could do with him to make it not look weird with the dangling chains, but whatever. I don't know. He's got like a "come at me, bro" type thing going on, I guess. And now we have this helmet here. So we have the helmet piece, which let's just put that on its own, because I think it'd look pretty cool with just that. So yeah, there he is, Samurai Mikey without the little face guard. And from the side, looks pretty good. It's got some pretty good coverage. It doesn't look like it fits on too snugly, but like from the front, I think it looks natural enough. Definitely gets the point across. I think it's good. And then the way that this piece actually attaches, it has little hooks. You actually put the helmet on first, which gives it some resistance between the head and the helmet, and then that is what it's gonna grip onto. So this is what it looks like when it has it on. It doesn't look like the dragon piece is all the way in. I would have expected it to go a little bit farther, but it doesn't. That's actually how it's supposed to look. I personally don't like it. I think that he looks better without it. And that's him with just the helmet. I kind of like him without the helmet as well. But I think he looks cool with just the armor on. So I do really like the armored Michelangelo, though. I think that he looks really neat. I really like the look of Usagi. I think he looks really neat as well on this whole thing. But of course, he is always supposed to look like this. So Usagi, this is his normal dress or whatever. You know, he just is kind of decorated for the occasion. So he doesn't look as natural in it, but he looks pretty cool. So now getting a paint job. There are really only 3 places that are painted on this figure, and I wouldn't say that any of them are noticeably bad. So again, this part is not painted. It's just a plastic piece that's attached to the arm. This part and the hand are painted. So we've got the silver piece here. It looks like it is attached with a band that isn't painted as it goes around the arm, but it is just painted silver up here. So that should probably, again, be some type of leather or black, something that delineates that it's something other than just a piece of this guard. But the guard is painted silver, and it's painted well, just like the other one. You've got a clean line all the way around. You can see over here the underside isn't really painted. It's still gray over here. And let's see if that's true on the other side here. Yeah, it's the same, except that this part is a little bit more hidden, I feel like. This one, it doesn't really dip in as drastically. It doesn't look like the whole thing's painted. Actually, yeah, the edge here is still gray, so that's why it's more noticeable. It doesn't look like they actually painted the whole thing, but it is a clean line. Like it's not jagged or anything, so I guess that's something. And then again, the glove is painted just silver. I think they should have painted this piece too, because the green in between looks really weird. It's like a rope or something. It's very noticeably not his hand, so I don't know why that was just left green. And then you can see that there are pieces here that are also green that should have been painted as part of the glove, but that's like, you know, precision work that you can't really expect. So same with the other side here. It looks about the same. And then this part is not painted, it's just plastic, and this part is also not painted. It is a plastic piece that looks like it just attaches to the rest. So this is just plastic orange, and this is just the gray malleable plastic that goes over the rest of the figure. The back is also gray plastic, so no paint job to be done. And I really like the, I don't know, I like the quality of that. It's like a nice cover for his shell. I think it looks pretty neat. Down here, the things that are painted are his sandal, his shin guard, and his knee pads. The knee pads, again, have some overflow on the thigh, and it's worse on his left leg than his right leg. You can see that it's all over there, all the way around. And it's like straight up painting that plastic, where his leg is, rather than, yeah, look at that. That's pretty bad there. So then you move down to the, and also, before we move down actually, you might not be able to see it on the camera here, but there's like a green tinge to this. Like the plastic is showing through the thin paint. And then we come down to the shin guards here, and you've got a silver paint job on the shin guards. It doesn't look like the shin guard is completely painted. You can see this whole lip here is still green. And then it's got this rope here, and also this rope up here, which is just still green. So there were things that also needed to be painted. They put more detail into the figure than they decided to paint in the end. And then you've also got these sandals, which are painted a tan. There are a lot of straps left on the sandal that were not painted. So you've got the heel, 2 ropes going between the toes, and then you got a bunch of ropes that are going up and around the foot and around the ankle that were not touched. And that is true on both legs here. You've got the lip left around the shin guard. You've got an unpainted shin guard securing rope here. Goes around the back, which is standard, not painted once it gets past the actual guard. And then a bunch of ropes that aren't painted. Last thing is his face. And his eyes are painted white. The orange headband is actually a separate piece from his face. So it looks like it was actually attached or slipped over the head afterwards, so that's not actually painted. The eyes are painted onto it. There's no overflow on the eyes. And since it's just a base white, there's not much you could really mess up other than overflow or not painting enough. And it looks like the whole eye where it should have been painted was painted. There's no pupil to place in the wrong place or anything like that. The mouth is also painted, and you could see that there is a little bit of overflow as well as a lack of paint right here. If you could see, there's a speck of green there where it wasn't painted. And then over here, you could see that there's some white overflowing onto the lip right there. But otherwise, he looks pretty good, I suppose. It's not noticeable, definitely from like a distance, if he is on a shelf or something like that. So if you've just got these guys sitting on a shelf, their paint jobs are definitely good. I would definitely say that Usagi has a better paint job. I would say his articulation is better. And I would also say that he just kind of looks better as a figure, which is really a shame, considering it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle really wasn't that good compared to him. So I think this guy has a lot more detail put into him. I think having these scabbards for his swords looks really nice. I think that it's super functional. And I think that his helmet looks a lot more natural on his head because it's just one piece instead of two pieces. And it fits together well. It covers the head well. And I don't know. I feel like it adds a little bit more to the character than this does. But I would definitely say if you're interested in this season with the turtles being samurai, then they're all worth picking up. Again, I only picked up Michelangelo because looking at the packaging, it looked like, you had one turtle, you had them all, because what is different about these guys is just the armor and the helmet and a little bit of variation to the weapons. And you could take this character and paint him, purple, and just swap out the weapon and he'd look pretty much the same, just because there's no iconic difference in the armor that they're wearing, which I think would have been a cool change. Like, it's literally just the same armor on each turtle. They just change the accessories, and then the face is what, their expression is what changes which one you're looking at. So, in all, though, I think that these are both pretty good figures, and I definitely like this guy. So, I think that they're worth picking up if you can manage to find them. I know that both of them look like they're a little over double price online. This guy's also running about $19 in box. So if you're lucky enough to find one at Walmart and you're interested, I would definitely recommend that you pick one up while you can, because based on those prices, I don't know if they're going to be reprinting them, because I'm not sure. I know they reprinted some of the old ones recently, but I don't know if they'll reprint this set since the series is ending. Apparently this is the last season. So these guys might end up being hard to find because they're not going to have a lot of time to reprint them. Once the show goes down, they're probably not going to keep printing action figures for it. So I would say if you can see them and you're interested, definitely pick them up. They're worth getting. So thank you very much, and I hope to be able to get another action figure review up next week, and hoping to make this a weekly occurrence. Who knows what'll actually happen, but hope to see you next week. And have a wonderful day.